Welcome back, nieces and nephews. Well, as I'm sure you saw the title, this is now gonna be a walking vlog because I refuse to ride my Ninja 500. So from now on, we're just gonna do a walking vlog. We're gonna walk and talk instead. So yeah, as the title states, I refuse to ride my 500 anymore. As it was set up, those handlebars, I just couldn't do it anymore. I can't. Hurts my hands too much. But luckily, there's Grogu. So, right. Reason it's been a little while since my last video, actually, was because I could not ride the bike any longer with how much pain it was causing my hands, because the handlebars were too far in and angled weird, just putting all the pressure on my outer palms. So, like I had mentioned, I got the Graves 41 millimeter mid-mount clip-ons, and they are installed. I had to take a few days off to kind of give my hands a break to kind of stop hurting, but there they are. Look at how pretty those are. I'll get a nice close-up view for you. Oh yeah, look at those. So I did get them installed. I didn't do a video because I knew that it would be a mess, and it's not that they were difficult to install. It's just I'm not very mechanically inclined, and so it actually took me 2 days to get them installed. One, because I had to figure out where the controls were going to go, because on both sides, just like most clip-ons, you have to drill a hole because there is a register hole in both sides of the controls, so that it doesn't move on you. So the hole registers into the bars or into the controls and stops the controls from spinning. So it took me to figure out where I wanted those, and then another problem was that my previous lever guards wouldn't fit these bars because the other ones were made for a 1-inch bar, and these clip-ons happen to be a 7/8 inch bar. So they were a little bit smaller, and so they didn't fit. But I got some new ones. Not nearly as happy with it. This one already had a bolt come out, so I've got that kind of rigged up. But we do have them installed now. And I've gone out for the last couple days, and my hands, I've woke up for the first time today without my hands being completely cramped. I don't know if you can tell, but they are slightly forward, not a whole lot. And if you are thinking about going with the Graves, one thing I did notice, at least if you look at the description of the Graves handlebars or clip-ons from either directly from Graves or someplace like Revzilla, or wherever you may get your parts, it states that the handlebars are a little bit higher than stock, which in my opinion is absolutely untrue. They're actually a tad bit lower, and so keep that in mind. I am hunched down a little bit more because they are just a tad bit lower. But for me, it kind of offsets because of the comfort with the bars being just a little bit forward. So as you can kind of see now, before they were probably right about here, and so there's a bad angle on my wrist, which made all of the pressure go to the outside of my hands. Now everything is kind of evenly in the palm, and I'm enjoying riding much better. And I knew there would be a difference in handling. I just didn't realize how much of a difference. It does drastically change, in my opinion, drastically change the handling of the bike. I kind of have to, and have been having to relearn leaning and turning with these new clip-ons, just because they are a little bit, even though it's only a couple degrees, it really does change how the bike handles and how the bike feels. You get a little bit more leverage in the turns. For me, I feel like I can get that dip in initiated a lot easier and hold it. So yeah. Also, you may notice that I got my new Tech Spec XL2 tank pads, or grip pads installed. So got those in, did that as well. A couple more things I did was, I did order a bracket, a new exhaust bracket, but it didn't fit. So I ended up just taking out the peg, just because I don't need it. And then on this side, I went with the RNG Racing peg delete. So I did do that as well. Other than that, everything's pretty much still the same. So let's get a nice little start here. Not a cold start because I did ride up here. Oh, I love that Graves. All right, let's get out of here. So I am enjoying this bike much more these last couple of days riding with the new clip-ons. So if anybody is also having the same issues, I would suggest getting some adjustable clip-ons so that you can change things like that, because it makes a huge difference. At least for me, it was the determining factor of whether or not I wanted to ride at all. You know, and so I took a few days off because I just didn't want to ride. I was not at all happy with how my hands felt or how the bike handled, and so it really did make me not want to ride at all, and so I didn't. Until I got the clip-ons in, and then also that kind of allowed my hands to kind of heal a little bit and stop hurting, and so I could actually tell if this was going to work or not, and it really has. I am super happy with these clip-ons, and you can get them, these particular ones, the Graves, they're the Graves 41 millimeter mid-mount bars. They do have the riser clip-ons, which go below the triple tree. So you'll notice these ones go above the triple tree instead of below it, like Woodcrafts or their other pair of clip-ons. I don't personally like those ones because, one, they leave a huge gap where the old handlebars used to be. So you can see I actually put the nut back in, just because I didn't like the hole that it left. But like the Woodcrafts or the other riser clip-ons, they go below the triple tree. And I've seen some other people who have installed the Woodcraft risers, and they've had all kinds of problems with clearance. They've had to move the triple tree up. They've had to do this and that. And one, that's not something that I wanted to deal with. And two, I don't like the look of having a bank spot, you know, that tall above the triple tree and just seeing the forks. Just don't like that look at all. So that's why I opted with the Graves. And I'm pretty sure all clip-ons are going to be just right around the same price, you know, just about $200 or so. So, you know, go ahead and choose whatever clip-ons you like, you know, whether you like the below the triple tree or above the triple tree. But if you want to adjust your handlebars, I'd say go ahead and do it, because it does make a huge difference. And I am 100% happy with these clip-ons. There's no regret whatsoever. There was initially, because, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm not really, you know, I compared them to the stock bars, and I didn't really move them all that forward to get where I wanted them, and so I didn't know if it was going to be worth it or not initially, but it absolutely 100% is. I am super happy. I am having much more fun on this bike again, without all the extra pain. And so I can enjoy it. And, you know, this, I think, with the clip-ons, this bike is now damn near perfect. It's still not quite perfect. The seat could really use some attention, but like I mentioned before in videos, I don't feel like my butt is worth $300 for the ergo seat from Kawasaki, and I still really haven't found an alternative that I'm willing to trust or put my money in, especially the 400 seats, because they don't fit. Oh, it's just a little gap, Uncle. Well, that little gap, for someone that is kind of OCD like me, that little gap will be the only thing that I see every time I look at the chair. So so yeah, you see the bike, buddy, brother. So yeah, I am enjoying the bike all over again. And we are nearing, wow, 2,300 miles on this. I know I said I was going to do the oil change at 2,000, but I kind of gotten lazy, and we'll probably do it at 2,500 instead. You know, I think maybe the 1,400 miles is probably a little soon to do an oil change anyways. So we'll probably do it about 2,500, somewhere around there. Oh, the green Subi. And the next mod that I will probably go with, I'm not sure. It'll probably either be front axle sliders, rear axle sliders. I'm not sure. Maybe some engine covers. I'm not sure. Nothing major. Nothing that I'm planning on doing anytime soon, at least. I think for now, with everything that I've done to the bike, I'm pretty happy now, especially with these clip-ons. So I think we'll kind of let this bike be until the end of the season, because, you know, living in Oregon, my season isn't all that long. We are in September now. Jeez, September already. And so it's going to start getting colder here, as you can see. Not super sunny, but it is super humid today, so I am kind of sweating my butt off. So that's kind of where we're at. And so I'm just kind of getting my rides in after work now, as best I can again. and really enjoying myself again. It's really changed the bike. And one thing I will mention, because the bars aren't nearly as heavy, I mean, you don't have the extra weight to kind of dampen. There is a little bit more vibration, but for me it's kind of a good thing because it forces me to have an even looser grip. So that I'm not just gripping the handlebars so tight. But with them just being, you know, just a couple degrees out, for me it really does kind of just make it super easy to flick this thing around and just throw it all over the place, because I can push. I've got a better angle to push the bar, see, to just kind of push it down, whereas before I kind of had to put my arm in, and it's just really awkward. So I think it is more than just, you know, an ergonomics thing. I do feel like there's a little bit better performance out of these clip-ons. They're a little bit longer, so, you know, I had to adjust all of that, but I got them all dialed in, and I feel like they are super comfortable. I'm digging them. But yeah, I don't have much planned for this video. I just wanted to give everybody an update. And, you know, it's been a week, I think, since my last upload, so it's more than I normally take to get an episode out, but I had to take a few days off to kind of let the hands rest, and to be honest, I didn't want to ride. I just kind of had lost all interest in riding whatsoever, just because it was just so uncomfortable. It was not enjoyable to ride my bike, which really sucked because, you know, I love this bike. I love being out on my bike. So I'm happy to have resolved that. That was pretty high on my list of things to get done. And I probably should have done it earlier. I knew I needed to do it, but I held off just because, you know, it's $200 for handlebars. Like, so yeah. But other than that, everything else is running great. We'll probably give her a good wash and chain maintenance this weekend. Clean and relube the chain, check the slack, all of that. Give it a nice wash as well. One thing I do want to bring up is that I have seen on my feeds, my various social media feeds, and quite a few here local within the last week or two, of a lot of bikers getting in wrecks. So I just want to remind everybody out there is that you got to be careful. No one is going to protect you more than yourself. You can't rely on the cars around you to protect you. And you really do need to drive like you're invisible. And let me, you know, the good old unk talking, you know, the parental side of unk talking here is that wear your gear. I get it. Sometimes it's hot. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass to put your gear on. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass. Sometimes I don't want to put my gear on. But if I don't want to put my gear on, then I'm not going to go ride. I wear full gear all the time. Helmet, gloves, jacket, pants, boots. You know, having something is better than not having it when you need it. And you know, oh, I'm just gonna go right down the street. Well, you do realize that most accidents happen within 5 to 10 miles of your home, right? So just taking a quick trip down to the grocery store, the gas station, or wherever you're going, all it takes is one inattentive driver or one small mistake on your part, and your life has changed forever. And I don't wish anybody to have to go through car accidents. I've been in a very bad car accident. They're not fun. Nobody wants to go through that. You have hospital bills, you know, you got to worry about insurance. And so let me just remind everybody, as you know, summer kind of winds down, and you know, just be careful out there. Watch yourselves. Practice your threshold braking, you know, your emergency braking. Practice your slow speed maneuvers. Practice. You know, you're never too good of a rider to practice those things. There's been several times recently where I've really been glad that I kind of practiced my threshold braking and my very hard braking, because I've needed it. There's been cars that have pulled out in front of me. There's been a couple times. The other night, for example, I was out and this car turned left right in front of me. And if I hadn't practiced my threshold braking, I don't know if I would have been able to stop in time to not hit the car. That's how close they were. You know, and it was another situation where as I'm coming up to them, I knew they were going to do something stupid. So I anticipated it, flashed my lights at them, and they still just pulled out right in front of me. So that's another thing is you know, I know it's one thing to say and it's another thing to do when it comes to being distracted. There's all kinds of distractions out on the road, whether it's our phones, music, daydreaming, thinking about random things. But I just really urge everybody, just pay attention, protect yourselves, wear your gear, and put yourself in the best situation possible for whatever may happen. You know, and that's another reason why, you know, I give the two wheels down hand signal to every biker I come across, because it's, you know, it's my way of telling them, hey, I hope you make it home to your family. I hope you make it home to your brother, your sister, your wife, your husband, your children, your mother, your father. I hope that you make it home safely from your trip after I see you. Because there's been a few deaths around here that could have been completely avoided. Like there was one the other morning where this motorcyclist was on a back road. So, you know, it's a 2-lane road, and this car was overtaking in a no passing zone and just creamed the motorcyclist, and the motorcyclist didn't make it. And unfortunately, that rider is no longer with us. And I don't wish that type of pain on anybody's family. Not something anybody should have to go through. And you know, these cars, they're not going to be the ones that puts your life in their hand, because they just don't care. You know, they've got their own lives going on. They've got blind spots. They've got this or that. They're thinking about this or that. And so it's up to us to make sure that we're being as safe as we can. You know, and that's just really how it is. That's all I got, guys. Appreciate y'all. Ride safe.